Hello everyone, welcome to Music Theory Foundations. In this episode, we are continuing our discussion of the 5 chord with a simple question: how do you approach the 5 chord? As we discussed in the previous video, resolving from a 5 chord to a 1 chord sounds great, but how do we get to the 5 chord? With one final reminder that music theory is a set of tools, not rules, and to trust your ears, let's talk about usual ways to approach the 5 chord. Music made up of only 1 chords and 5 chords could start to sound pretty repetitive. Take this excerpt, for example. It sounds nice, but a little plain perhaps. One way to spruce up this progression is to add a chord before our 5 chord. Small changes can have a big effect on the music. There are 2 chords that often come before the 5 chord, either the 2 chord or the 4 chord. Let's hear what both of those would sound like, starting with the 2 chord. Now here's the 4 chord. You'll notice that the melody doesn't change between the two, simply what chords are playing underneath the melody. Now is when you get to make a choice as the musician as to which of these 2 chord progressions you like the sound of more. You can kind of think of it like a flowchart, except we are working backwards. We know what we want to end on, the 1 chord, so that's our final step. Using the 5 chord is a great way to land on 1, so that takes us one step further back. Now our flowchart splits, and you can choose between either the 2 or 4 chord. There's no right or wrong answer, and there are even more answers than only the 2 or the 4 chord, but if you aren't sure, this is a good place to start. Everything we discussed also applies in minor keys. It will just sound different because it's in minor rather than major. If I take the same example from before using the 2 chord and put it in a minor key, it will sound like this. Definitely a different sound, but adding the 2 chord to approach the 5 chord adds a bunch of harmonic interest to the song. Notice again that our 5 chord is major in this example, which means we have to use a B natural. I will be talking about why that is in my next video. Practice writing short pieces of music like this to get used to what these chord progressions sound like. They can be usual or plain, but they are also extremely effective in keeping forward momentum as you write and play more music. To effectively practice using these chords, you should have a strong understanding of key signatures and how to build major and minor chords. If you want more practice with that, I have a couple of videos going over those topics. Have fun practicing! This has been another episode of Music Theory Foundations. If you have any questions or topics you would like me to cover in a future video, leave them in the comments below. A like, share, and subscribe are always appreciated. I look forward to working with you to build your skills from the ground up.